All right, glad to have you back here on the program as we dig through all of this. Look, Donald Trump yesterday went out and signed a memo to protect Americans and their Social Security. And the fact of the matter is he made it so that, well, the effort is to make it so that only American citizens can access Social Security the way it should be. Meanwhile, he wants to cut taxes on tips and overtime and Social Security and make America a better place. There is a conversation to raise taxes on people making over $1 million. I don't know if it'll be a starter or a non-starter. John Tillman is with me, CEO of the American Culture Project, a nonprofit that mobilizes voters around the ideals of freedom. John, welcome back to the program.
Great to be with you, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so there are I have heard some cries of pain from small businesses that are being singed, burned, hurt, if you will, by some of these tariffs. But overall, look, nobody thought anybody could go toe-to-toe with China. We're going toe-to-toe with China. The stock market has not imploded. Yes, it had a couple of bad days. It went down, 8 or 10% after it recovered. That's about where it ended up. Today, it's in good shape. Gas prices are coming down. Oil is cheap. Which means energy is cheap, which means it's pretty good economically. Inflation's down. I mean, I go through the list here, John. Overall, we're in pretty good shape and getting healthier. Or am I missing something?
Well, you wouldn't know that narrative that you just laid out. I mean, I'm eating eggs again. It's very exciting. I love eggs. And you wouldn't know that narrative unless you were listening to you or following you on the X platform, because the mainstream media does not want that information out there. But one of the reasons Trump won is because people lived their own life and saw their own truth and realized that prices were high, gas, housing costs in general, the cost of eggs and groceries in general. People saw that with their own eyes, and people are seeing these declines in prices with their own eyes. And I think, going back to the tariffs, I think what's really interesting about the tariff war, I'm a free trader. I'd like to see zero tariffs. I'd like to see us compete with everybody. Certainly, it is proper to carve out some protections for our national security interest, our healthcare interest when it comes to drug production and all the rest of that. But in general, I'm a free trader. However, if you want free trade when the other team is cheating and really taking you to the woodshed on the deal, it seems to me using tariffs as a negotiating tactic to get better deals, which seems to be happening in some of these negotiations, is a good idea. But of course, the most important thing is to make sure we preserve the 2017 tax cuts that have really changed the economics for working class and poor people. During the Trump's first term, the poor people's wages rose 400% faster than everyone else's. And that's the way to really create fairness and equality as well as equity.
Absolutely. Absolutely true, John. Look, right now, I'm just quick glance at the markets. I do this every day. Gas is down again today. It's down by about 65 cents from where it was a year ago. Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, all pretty well flat. I mean, down literally 1/10 of a point, which means it's flat for the day. These things are settling in. The market is calm. Inflation is down. But again, I go back. I do have concerns about some of these small businesses whose bottom line, whose profitability is being hurt by tariffs because their costs are going up. Now, when you say free trade, I think that where we probably end up is a place where there's 10% on either side. So you can do a cost of doing business on either side, not zero, but 10% either way, probably about where we will end up. Vietnam, South Korea, Taiwan, the entire EU, all putting together deals right now, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one part of the equation. The other part that Trump is addressing that has been ignored by administrations of both parties for many decades is the non-tariff barriers to trade, the regulatory regulations that create trouble to get into a market, China in particular, the financial cost of going into these different markets. All these things are part and parcel of the trade war as well. And I think it's interesting that Trump is addressing those as part of the larger negotiation to try to get better access beyond just the tariffs.
It's incredibly important. And then just before you came on, I was talking about Honda bringing plants out of Mexico and Canada. Honda has already announced they're building a plant in Indiana. And this is just one example of investment coming into the United States. Here a day or two ago, it was NVIDIA. All told, we're starting to get close to $10 trillion in investment that has been dedicated to the United States just in the last 60 or 80 days. It is remarkable. $10 trillion of investment, which we will reach, by the way, possibly by the 100-day mark of this administration. That is a remarkable figure, John.
It's amazing, and I'll give you a good example of the effects of that over time. And Honda is just a perfect example. The number one domestically produced car in this country, number one and two, I can't remember which one's one and which one's two, is Ford
Right.
Motor Company, Tesla, in terms of domestic parts. But number three is Honda, because Honda has been making all kinds of investments in this country for a long time. General Motors and Chrysler are not even close compared to Honda. And that's the whole point of this tariffs, is to get those jobs, those manufacturing jobs inshored, onshored here in the United States.
And one of the things that nobody ever talks about, John, and I don't know why this is, but I found this fact a while back. Lyndon Johnson put into place about 1965 a 25% tariff on light-duty pickup trucks. And that's why Nissan is built in America. It's why Honda, those little Ridge lines, are built in America. It's why Toyota Tundras are built in America, because of a 25% tariff placed on light-duty pickup trucks in the 1960s. I mean, it's such an easy example to say, look, if you put these tariffs on, we get an even playing field. There's a reason there aren't any Ford Motor Company cars driving around Tokyo or Berlin or London, for that matter, because they've been effectively iced out by tariffs. It's time to reset the table, isn't it?
That's such a great point, because what that tariff did that people have long forgotten is it leveled the playing field so that the Japanese companies, which were working in harmony with their government at that time in particular, could not dump cheap imports and undermine the marketplace of American production. Now, some would say, well, just let those cheap trucks come in. But that's a tough thing to say to the Detroit auto worker, the UAW auto worker working at General Motors, Chrysler, or Ford. You want a level playing field that makes it fair. And what happened as a result of having those Japanese imports come in with competition is the American producers got better over time and are some of the very best producers of quality automobiles in the world today.
Yeah. It is changing everything, and that is the Trump administration. What do you think? Give me an idea, John. There was a 90-day pause. When we get to the end of that 90 days, which has probably been, what, 70, 75 days now left, whatever it is, what happens? How many of these countries at the table? And if they're in the line, if you're in line and negotiating, he'll probably extend it a little bit. But we're going to have 75 countries with deals, maybe more, maybe 90 countries with deals, including the EU, which will take as one entity. Do you think we'll have it done pretty close in 90 days?
I do think so. And I think Kevin Hassett, the president's economic advisor, has been talking about this, that there's something north of 130 countries that have now come and started the negotiating process with some enthusiasm. And what it tells you is that what Trump has understood that nobody else seems to have understood prior to him is the number one market by far that people want to be in is the U.S. market. Now, China has a very large economy because they have 1.3 billion people, but they don't have the purchasing power of our 330 million people. Every producer of anything in this world wants to sell in the United States. That is our leverage. He's using that leverage now to get those countries to come and negotiate a more fair deal for American producers so that we have an opportunity to export worldwide.
And build America. John Tillman, greatly appreciate you being here, the CEO of the American Culture Project. Sir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great day.
Yep, we'll talk again soon. There you have it. And do as he says. Follow me on social media. Facebook is the place we're building today. Get on board the Truth Train.